So we've got some good news and some bad news about Outriders and official news. Check this out right here. We've got a new update about the recent patch that went live for Outriders. It's looking good so far with the inventory bug. It's looking like, cross our fingers, that it has been completely squashed. Plus, we have a brand new patch that is being worked on right now. Some news about that we're going to be talking about. And yes, Angry Joe's review is out, and he gives his verdict about Outriders. We're going to be talking about that as well, so let's dive in. Hey everyone, what's happening? Open World Games here, hope you're doing good, and let's do this. First of all, with the official news. This is excellent news right here. The Outriders team says this: so far, so good. We will continue monitoring for any fresh reports over the weekend and are still aiming to share news about the inventory and character restoration process early next week. So yes, so far, from what I am seeing personally, I haven't heard many players complaining about their inventories being wiped this weekend. So cross our fingers that this inventory bug is once and for all stomped and destroyed so that we don't have to be paranoid about logging into Outriders. Now, also, what about the next patch? Of course, we will be getting the restoration for anyone that had their inventory wiped, and then after that, we will be getting the appreciation package, which is going to include titanium and legendary weapons. Now, let's take a look at this topic right here. Grey Worm says this: the hunt the prey bug where you don't move at all is so distressing, lol. Now, Garsink says this: the community manager said it was fixed 10 days ago. It won't be implemented in the future patch. There have been 2 to 3 patches since then. If it's still broken, that's not looking good. I was hoping it would at least be in today's patch, but maybe the community manager here, Square Enix community manager, means it'll be fixed in an update farther in the future. And here is the Square Enix community manager replying, saying, we're bundling lower priority fixes in a larger follow-up patch. So there it is confirmed. We're getting another patch. While the patches released so far have been focused on addressed severe issues. If we were to roll lower priority fixes into our previous patches, it would have extended their required testing time greatly, and they wouldn't have released as early as they did, which makes sense. So yeah, we'll be getting another patch. I'll keep you guys in the know about what happens with that for sure. But yeah, the Angry Joe Show also released their review, their final verdict about Outriders, and let's just say they were not impressed. They gave the game a 5 out of 10, and you can guess why. They were extremely frustrated with the launch of the game, and for them, they were playing on PC, and if you watch the review and watch all the footage, you can see how frustrating of an experience this game has been for certain players. And first impressions, in my opinion, are always the most important during launch period. In my opinion, with Outriders, they really should have just labeled it early access to warn players that they're going to have problems. This is what they should be doing if they are dealing with an online-only game that they know they're going to be experiencing problems. Put the early access label on there. There's been so many games that have been immensely successful despite being early access, because players go in knowing what to expect. When you have a game that is labeled as a full package, they're expecting a game that works. So in my opinion, in the future, they need to really consider this going forward for sure. But my God, the reactions were very, very interesting. Also, we had this right here. It is the top trending Reddit post about the Angry Joe Show right here. You can find the clip in the description below here. But they basically talk about how you shouldn't be defending this practice anymore, that you should be able to buy a full game at $60 and it should work. Unless, of course, like I just said, it is labeled early access. That is a different story. I myself do not like early access games at all, because I want the experience to be smooth when I'm playing a game. I don't want to be beta testing something unless I'm getting paid. That's just how I feel about it. Because you essentially become someone that is a QA tester, a quality assurance guy, and those guys, they do get paychecks. But anyway, we're going to move on to some other opinions here. Right now, Outriders is sitting at a 76 Metacritic score with a user score of 5.8. This is on PC. It looks like the PC has had quite a fair share of issues, but if we get into more official news about the game, we're going to be talking about those legendary rewards as well. So We have a question here from Vitor, who says, and the legendary reward for playing since day one. Outriders team says, we want to ensure the restoration is successful before we deploy the appreciation package. So that is another reminder right there. Now, we do have more questions from the community here to the Outriders team. Jeff Freeman says, what about people that can no longer log on to the servers unless they start a new character? Is that being looked into at all? And the Outriders team did give an update. These characters will be restored along with our restoration process. The reason they are encountering an error is because they are detected as having an invalid inventory. Our restoration process will restore the inventory and thus fix these characters. So there you have that one. Now, I hope that restoration process actually happens next week. That was the indication from previous posts from the Outriders team. But what happens if you had issues with your stash? So Philo says this, is stats wiped restoration also a thing? Because I got stash wiped for almost 60 Legos, but nothing happened to my equipment inventory. Outriders confirmed our restoration process involves looking for all wiped items, whether they're in a stash or an inventory. So it doesn't matter if you're losing items, whether it's in your actual inventory or your stash, it's going to restore everything between both those things. Now, a lot of you guys are still talking about one of the most nagging issues with the game, and that is this right here. Timed in-game content kills the fun and variety of in-game tools, builds, and combination. This comes from Solo Botmate, and he says this, mod Y and X works awesome together. It's funny to proc X and W effect. Nope, not fast enough. Killing to gold won't use. And he's bringing up a really valid point here. Let me zoom in so this is bigger for you guys. Then he says this mod Y and X on armor looks fun. I can use my favorite skills and more. Nope, that combination doesn't kill fast enough to gold. Won't use. That middle tree looks like fun. I'll be running ahead and draw aggro and be unkillable while my friend with sniper rifles will DPS everything now. Nope, not fast enough. Need to kill faster. I love this post. It is so true because recently I was playing with a buddy of mine and I was drawing the aggro. He was a little bit more leveled up than me, probably a lot of it more, but I was drawing aggro and it was an awesome strategy, but it's not viable in the higher tiers, the higher challenge tiers. So I really do think and agree with this post. They need to do something different in the future, immediate future, in my opinion, with the expeditions to keep players around in the long term, because this is going to be a situation where people will be dropping off the game because they aren't allowed to experiment. And I had people in my recent stream commenting on how toxic the community can actually be. Like, they're getting kicked just because they aren't using a certain loadout, which I personally think is just ridiculous. However, on the flip side, you got to compliment People Can Fly, because they made some amazing weapons. This is one of the top trending things here. Buster Wolf 3 says, can we show the developers some love for the awesome legendary weapon designs? Hell yes. You know, I am in love with the actual weapons in this game. They feel absolutely amazing, and it can't go without saying that they have done something absolutely impressive with the actual legendary weapons. Even the purple weapons, in my opinion, are freaking awesome in the way you can actually design and craft your own weapons. So I have to really give compliments, of course, to what they have actually accomplished with this game so far. Now, there is another bug that's really nagging people, and it's right here from Golden Rain 99. He says, is anyone else absolutely annoyed by how terrible the quest tracker is for this game? He says, seriously though, one of the number one things you need in an RPG of this kind is a quest tracker that works properly. Instead, I'm still seeing blue marks on my map from an area that I just simply passed through, but you can't get far away enough that the game will leave you alone. I try tracking a side quest. My marker from my main quest is still there on my map showing, and when I press up on the D-pad for where to go, it takes me to the main quest rather than the side quest I have active. I've had this happen to me so many times. You know, the map, the quest marker, everything needs to be reworked. It really does. It needs a desperate update for sure, because like I'm in the middle of my stream sometimes and I'm looking at my map. I'm like, where the hell am I right now? I have to dissect the map and figure it out and take the time, and it's very time consuming. It's so freaking annoying. So hopefully eventually they can get this all worked out, and even, you know, when they make Outriders 2, which I'm crossing my fingers that that's actually a thing, they can have a working map. All right, you know what time it is? It's time for your top comments. Let's take a look at the recent video right now. Remember, drop a comment down below. I may see it and highlight it in a future video. So let's take a look here. The most recent video I did was called New Dev Updates, about this big feature requested by fans. All new updates. You guys want to see the ability to solo revive yourself, of course, during that solo play, especially in expeditions. It doesn't make any sense as to why they don't have that option currently in the game. Actually, I have a theory, and that's because they want you to play co-op. Let's see what you guys had to say about this. KrillT14 says this: my favorite is when I get stuck between an enemy and a wall, or just a bunch of enemies, and then get stun locked to death. Some enemies seem to not have a cooldown on knockback attacks. By the time you're on your feet, you're about to be tumbling through the air again. Yeah, so stun attacks need to be limited in this game, or capped. I liked when one of you guys said they need to be capped. Gavin369 says, they want us to take our time playing solo, but there is an effing timer. That's counterproductive. Rabbi.com says, we like presenting combat arenas as a sort of puzzle for players to solve. Yes, this is why expeditions are all time-based, because puzzle. Snow says, single players need to be cautious. Also, we are timing you and rewarding you based on how fast you go. So you can see how it's kind of countering each other here, and it doesn't work in solo play. You know, I think they just want us to play together in co-op. Logan says they want us to solve the fights like a puzzle and not power through. Yet they make expeditions time, so you have to go all out win solo. Patrick says we wouldn't need a self-res if you could actually play with your friends. Ray says, let's punish people for not having friends that play this game is all I get out of this. Yeah, a lot of you guys caught on to that. Jeffrey says, I won't even play by myself because it literally feels like the same intensity as if I had 2 other people on my team, except no revive and everything is targeting you. They wanted that in-game to be focused on co-op play, I think. Mr. Yeti says, I hate that after I defeat the hardest foes, only to be overwhelmed by 10 or more grunts that charge me. They don't even try to take cover. It makes no sense. And then Sean says, a Borderline style second win seems like a good idea. Yeah, they could possibly do something like that in this game. I don't know exactly how they would do it. Honestly, the Borderlands second win stuff is... Let me know if you guys agree with this. Perhaps too easy. I want to be careful with how easy they make the game, you know. I don't want it to be like, oh, I just have second win, I could do anything. Perhaps they could have a penalty if you are downed. I don't know. There has to be some sort of penalty. That's all I'm saying. If you are constantly dying. And they do have a really good penalty actually in Borderlands, now that I remember. So maybe that would actually be a good idea and something that they could look into. But thank you all so much for the comments and the replies and watching the video. Stay tuned for more updates about Outriders. And I will see you all next time. Take care.